Hey, what's up guys? Today we'll be drawing the last Nyanmurai from Yokai Watch. In this short video tutorial, I'll be going over the step-by-step of how to create this Nyanmurai drawing from start to finish. If you just want to look at the speed drawing video, go ahead, feel free and click on the info card now. Or you can check out the video description in the description, the video chapters in the description below to preview all the steps or to skip to the chapter that interests you the most. And if you already love what you see here, the completed drawing, feel free to hit like and subscribe now. Alright, let's take a look at the materials we need for this drawing. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser, a medium point black marker, a fine point black marker, and some color pencils. I have here with me a blue and a dark blue for the flames, the eye, and the belt. I have here with me an orange and a dark red-brown for the tail, the legs, and the arms, pretty much like a lot of skin parts. And I'm also using this dark red-brown for the red armor. I'm using a regular red and the dark red-brown for the shadow for these red armor. And I have a gray and a black for inside the ear and the black parts of the armor plus this eye patch. Now these three, I have a golden yellow, a dark gold, and a dark yellow brown for all the gold pieces. Okay, I'm using the golden yellow for the mid-tone, and the shadows combination of the dark gold and the yellow brown. Last but not least, I have a peach tan and the dark, like brownish tan for the skin, the face, the hands, and the legs, the feet. Alright, now briefly going over all the steps, we're going to first begin by roughing in the basic shapes and forms, and then refine the drawing after that, and then we're going to trace it with marker, then erase the pencil lines, and then put the colors in there, mid-tone, highlight, and shadow. After that, we're going to make the profile line sticker to make the character pop out. Okay, so throughout the whole drawing, I'll be doing speed drawing a lot, so if you're drawing along, feel free to pause the video whenever you like to catch up with me. Alright, are you ready? Let's start. Now, before we start our drawing, let's take a look at a reference picture of the last Nyanmurai. So funny saying his name. Okay, but let's take a look at the shapes and form we can use to create our drawing. Now, in the other drawing where I drew Shoganyan, I had a reference of like of Jabanyan, and I talked about like the original design of Jabanyan. So if you want, you can check out that video and see, and find out like why the original Jabanyan design will be relevant when we're drawing Shoganyan or when now we're drawing Nyanmurai. Okay, so let's see. So pretty much we see like Nyanmurai, big oval shape for the head. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw in my cross right here. Okay. The body is pretty much a square. Okay, and then we got like two like curved horns coming out for the feet. Okay, and then we got like two spikes coming out like the arm. And then we can draw in like samurai sword or like helmets and whatnot. Big star. The ears are two triangles. Draw two curves in here like for the tail. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic form and shape for Nyanmurai. So we got, let's go over it again, big oval, square for the body, spikes for the legs and the arm, pretty much, okay? Now next, let's take a look at the lighting. So lighting pretty much coming from this direction, top left. The reason why is because I see right here there's a highlight here, and there's some highlight there. And then the shadow, mostly, it's on the bottom right. So you will see like a shadow right here, down the bottom right, okay? So now we have the information we need. We have the shapes, we have the lighting direction. We're ready to start roughing in our basic shapes and forms, okay? So let's get started. Okay, see how I have a bigger version of the form figure of Nyanmurai, big circle for the head, square for the body, and the legs and arms like just spiking out of the body like that. So next I'm going to start drawing in like the major next step is clothes figuring, so I'm drawing the major clothing and accessory pieces like the armor, like the helmet, like the sword, like the weapon, okay? It is built based on the form figuring, okay? So we don't have to, I'm skipping stick figuring for this drawing because we can really such a simple like little chibi design. We can just go into form figuring and then clothes figuring, okay? Alright, let's put in all the weapons and armor and the shapes in that, all that shape in there, okay? Okay, so now we have the clove form figure done. So this is actually, I consider, the most important stage of the drawing so far, because it is the foundation of everything that comes after. If you have this correct, if you spend enough time to make sure your composition, your anatomy of the character, and your layout, everything is good, if you spend enough time on this stage, the rest will just be a breeze, okay? If you don't, if this is not how you want it, if you're not happy with it, and you just start going into the details, start refining all the details, you're gonna find out that, wait, my anatomy is not right, or wait, the structure, the composition, wait, this is wrong. But you already have so much refinement drawn in there, and you're just gonna start not liking your drawing silly, okay? So I always make sure I spend enough time on this stage, which is the basic shape and form, okay? So notice at this stage I draw very lightly. It is to avoid committing to any lines too soon. When I start to refine the drawing in the second, the more definitive lines I'm willing to commit to, I'll draw heavier. And the rough sketch will feel like it's faded away, as my refined line work emerges from the basic shapes and form. Right now, I'm more concerned and focused on the key lines. What I mean by key lines, notice a lot of the shapes are not complete, but they don't need to be. So all I have to do is to make sure some of the key lines, like these lines, and that line, is there. And I'm pretty sure when I detail it, I will not mess up, okay? See, I already marked off where the key areas, like the anchor of that shape is. So I won't see the circle is not complete. Doesn't need to be at this stage. All I need to mark off the top left, top, bottom, left, right, and then on the next step, when I refine it, I'm 100% sure I know how to refine that because I already have the key lines in there. So the next stage is just filling in what I call the fill lines, is to connect the key lines and create the refined drawings, okay? All right, so now if you're happy with your picture, let's start refining. See how the rough sketch feel like it's faded away, like it never existed, because now we have a refined pencil drawing on top of it. I didn't even erase much, but it's just because like the heavier refined pencil drawing, it's just covering up the rough sketch, okay? So now practice to draw with short and repetitive strokes, okay? See how the lines are very rough to begin with, but when you draw, you're gonna slowly define your true lines, your more definitive lines, and when you found the right line, you can start drawing heavier. Okay, and that's how your real line work will emerge, will come out from your rough sketch, okay? Alright, so next step is to trace your pencil drawing with the marker, and then erase the pencil drawing afterwards. Alright, so the trick here is to keep rotating your paper, okay, to help you create more smooth lines. And also remember, you don't have to complete one line, like one single line with a single take, you know? You can break up a very long line to like 2 or 3 different lines. For example, let's just say if I'm drawing this long curve for the sword here, okay? I'm not going to try to score it with one take, one line. I'm going to break it up into several lines. So watch this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Okay? Alright, now before we go into tracing, if you enjoyed the tutorial so far, remember to hit like and subscribe. It is the biggest appreciation I can get from you guys. Okay, now let's start tracing. Okay, so when you erase your pencil drawings, remember, hold down the paper with your other hand, okay? If you don't hold down your paper with your other hand and just start erasing really hard, you might create some wrinkles and crease up your paper. So be careful on that. Next step is coloring. Now, most objects you draw in real life will have highlight, midtone, and shadow. Now, on white paper, we can overlay colors to make it darker, but we can really overlay colors to make them lighter. So what I'm going to do is going to locate and mark off all the highlight areas and leave it uncolored. And I'll just color in the midtone and everything else. And I'll come back later and color the shadow on top of the midtone. So if I take a look right here, you know, we have some highlight right here, highlight right here. I'm going to keep my highlight and design my highlight pretty much on the upper left area of my character because that's where the lighting is coming from. Okay? Now, a lot of times I like to leave my highlights white. It's because with a white highlight, the highlights are more noticeable and your form will look more dimensional. Okay? So, now, sometimes I do color the highlight, but if I do, the highlight will be like a thin layer of the midtone color. So for this step, we're just going to color it all the midtones, and leave the higher areas uncolored. Alright? Let's give it a try. See how we can already see some form coming out by leaving out the highlight, punching out the highlight. Okay, so now we have all the midtones in there. Okay, let's take a look at shadow. So usually in the Japanese animation, they have to use a technique called cell shading, which is to flatten out all the shadows so it's easier for production. Now, technically, there's form shadow and there's cast shadow. So form shadow is when the shadow follows the form. Okay, example, that would be a form shadow. All these are form shadow. This is the form shadow. That's a form shadow. And the cast shadow is when the shadow is casted from the object that's closer to a light source. For example, this shadow right here is the cast shadow from the hat. Okay, so this shadow right here is a cast shadow from this piece of armor. Now, when it comes to cast shadow, it's sharper on the edge, and the form shadow is very soft around the form. Okay, we're gonna keep that in mind when we put in the shadow here. All right, so let's see how this works. See how after we put in the shadow, the whole drawing becomes more dimensional? That's because with your highlight, midtone, and shadow combined, your forms will read as 3D instead of 2D flash shapes. Okay, so I know this looks pretty awesome already, but we're going to make it look even better by making the profile lines thicker. Now the profile lines are the outermost borderline of each major forms, like the legs, the arm, the sword, the head, and so on. See, these lines, like the eyes for the facial features, or these patterns on armor, those are detail lines. They're not profile lines. Now, by making the profile lines thicker, we're going to be able to read the forms better, like what's in front of what. And you're going to be able to pop your character off the page a lot better. Okay? So, let me show you how it works. And there we have it. The last Nyanmurai from Yokai Watch. I hope you guys enjoyed this drawing tutorial. Let me know in the comments below what we should draw next. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Now remember, drawing is like playing the piano. You can have the best instructor and the best music sheet in front of you. You might even know the music very well. But it is only through practice that you will get better and become what you want to be. The whole point of my video is to provide side-by-side training for you on a daily basis. Like riding a bicycle, I might have to hold your bike for you in the beginning, but just keep drawing and keep practicing. And before you know it, you'll be ready. I'll see you next time.